We have breaking news out of South Korea. We are getting the Bank of Korea's rate decision. They have cut as expected to 2.75%. This is a 25 basis point cut as expected from 3%. This, as all 22 economists surveyed by Bloomberg had forecast that cut, given, of course, the economic challenges that the country now faces. We do have continued political instability. In fact, today, impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol will be delivering his final arguments at the Constitutional Court. You're seeing the Korean won now weaken around 0.1%, still around 1-month highs against the U.S. dollar. We do have the CPI forecast coming from the BOK for 2025 at 1.9%. So they left it at the same level and estimate from back in November. When it comes to growth projections for this year, seen at 1.5%, which is slightly lower than the projection that they had back in January when they were seeing growth of up to 1.7%. For more, let's bring in Bloomberg News Asia economics correspondent Katya Dmitrieva. Katya, if we're seeing right now the projections for inflation and growth coming from the Bank of Korea, the focus seems to be clear right now on economic growth challenges for the economy.
Yeah, it's all about the economy right now. I mean, you just mentioned that growth was downwardly revised to 1.5% this year. That's the second time that that's happened. And a survey of Bloomberg economists actually saw that being revised down as well as our own economists. And the reason is that all economic indicators are really pointing to that. You know, you have consumer confidence that's falling to levels that's kind of close to where they were in the pandemic. You've got weaker business confidence. Everything from retail spending to even trade data for the first 20 days of this month were quite weak. And it's a result of the political instability that you had just spoken about, but also the sort of dimming outlook and the instability abroad in the U.S. specifically, and with Trump imposing tariffs that would directly hit South Korea's economy. So it's sort of the present moment with weak economic growth as well as the long term.
Do we sort of have a good indication in terms of how impactful Trump tariffs might be?
Yeah, so the trade figures, the first 20 days this month, we'll get the final numbers at the end, but essentially showed already that trade has slowed, trade activity has slowed. And the tariffs specifically that Trump has announced, the reciprocal tariffs not so much, but the tariffs on autos, pharmaceuticals, and chips. You know, a lot of these supply chains run through South Korea. South Korea is, of course, also a manufacturer of these goods. And so imposing it on these particular products would only serve to basically hamper growth, again, basically as soon as potentially next quarter. And we heard Trump overnight or this morning in Asia saying that he would be imposing those tariffs on Mexico and Canada at least. So we sort of get a sense that, well, he's serious, that South Korea should really be bracing for these levies, as should the rest of the world.
Well, top of mind for investors, also the Bank of Korea expected to cut its benchmark interest rate by 0.25 percentage point when the board convenes on Tuesday. For more, let's bring our Bloomberg economist, Hoesung Kwon, who has been taking a look at really the Bloomberg survey, right? All economists expecting a cut today, but the market seems a little bit less certain. Where is that gap? And have we seen an improvement from, say, December, where, of course, you know, sentiment was really depressed, it was ongoing political uncertainty, the air disaster as well. Have there been any signs that perhaps the economic outlook has improved?
Hi, Heidi. Thanks for having me. So economic outlook is, as you mentioned, this is not so bright for South Korea's economy. But the rate cut today, I expect the BOK's rate cut today would push add another stimulus to the South Korea's economy. And also we are expecting for a supplementary budget as early as in March, which could also add another stimulus to the economy. And what is more, the Constitutional Court is preparing for its final phase. So it is likely that we will have the Constitutional Court's ruling in March that will probably reduce the political instability significantly. And in that way, we could have some, better, some outlook improving.
How difficult could that outlook for 2025 and beyond be, depending on the impact that you see from Trump's tariffs and the sort of broader global trade tensions?
Trump is raising tariffs on steels and aluminum and potentially other products such as autos and semiconductors, which will hit South Korea's economy hard. That might lead to a slower growth this year. And then I think the downside risk is quite significant. At the same time, so South Korea holds a U.S. Army here. But Trump mentioned that we need to pay more for the security, and that will lead to another hit for South Korea's economy.